How brutal was the life of Ireland's evil mob, Cornelius Price? Cornelius Price, once a feared mobster in Ireland, is dead. His life, filled with violence and power, ended not in a battle but in silence, taken by something else. He was on the run from both his rivals and the Gardai, but Mother Nature had other plans. The Underworld is shocked. Let's delve into the enigmatic life of the infamous Naily Boy of the Underworld. Known for his violent activities, his life took a surreal twist with a diagnosis that brought him to the brink of oblivion. As we rewind his life, we see a man known for brutality. Price's journey from violence to a sudden twist of fate is intriguing. His story is more than just his crimes. It's about the unexpected end of a life lived on the edge. We dive into his past, exploring how he became Naily Boy. His actions, once commanding respect and fear, are now just memories of a bygone era. The rise of Naily Boy. What's the story of Cornelius Price, a narcotics dealer and a crime boss who did not hesitate to use violence? Known as Naily Boy within underworld circles, Cornelius Price was often portrayed by the media as a volatile criminal with a fierce reputation for violence. Price had faced charges for conspiring to falsely imprison and blackmail 2 individuals in 2020. While he was slated to stand trial in the UK alongside 5 alleged associates, his deteriorating health spared him from facing the justice system. Despite his central role in the infamous Drogheda feud, he nevertheless evaded both law and his rivals with his death. Fate intervened before he could be held accountable for his crimes. Keep your spot as we delve into the Drogheda feud shortly. Price was well known for his alleged involvement in criminal acts, including hiring individuals from the UK to escalate violence in Ireland. Shockingly, this hitman, who was also involved in smuggling stolen cars into the country, was just one of several individuals contracted for eliminations under the auspices of Price and Owen Maguire. This fact alone demonstrates the extent of their reign of terror. These activities came to light following the Gardai's Operation Stratus, a remarkable law enforcement effort. Among Price's many eliminations, the assassinations of Benny Whitehouse and a pregnant couple stand out as particularly shocking. Price and Whitehouse had once been close friends, but paranoia and greed ultimately drove Price to sanction Whitehouse's elimination. But that's not something unusual in the underworld. It takes a minute to turn friends into sworn enemies. The Irish Times reported that Price believed Whitehouse had planted a pipe explosive at his caravan, which led to his decision to eliminate him. Despite his involvement in such acts, Price's criminal operations were dealt a blow when his contract hitman was incarcerated in 2016. Moreover, the threats to life grew immensely as a result of a gang feud, the details of which we will disclose later, prompting Price to flee Ireland as the risks to his life escalated. How did he ascend the criminal ladder? Price rose up to the top of the illicit trade in the northeast of Ireland in the mid-2000s. His allegiance with gangster Owen Maguire proved to be instrumental in this regard, but it wouldn't have been possible without another major development of that time. In 2006, the power balance of the local gangland changed. A void was created by the elimination of notorious dealer Paul Ray. Ray was taken out by a hit through a car window when he was going to court to face charges over a major coke seizure. This was an opportunity for the young criminals to step into the big leagues. Price filled the void by taking up the open space in illicit trade. He became acquainted with Maguire and struck an alliance which proved to be fruitful for both gangs. Price had connections to Balbriggan and agreed to supply Maguire in that area. Whereas Maguire took over the Drogheda and Dundalk area, their organised crime syndicate came to be known as the Price-Maguire Group. Notably, Price also enjoyed close ties with another organised crime groups such as McCarthy-Dundon gang. These alliances made him rise through the ranks of the narcotics underworld, the other thing being his use of extreme violence to get his way. Price first came to the attention of law enforcement in 2010 in Balbriggan, prompting his relocation to Gormanston. He built up a fortified compound there with only one entrance leading to a narrow road. It was hard to penetrate for the Gardai. This was an ideal place for illicit activities, as it was surrounded by a few mobile homes, ditches and quarries. Price utilised this isolated area for storing illicit goods in ditches and quarries. Ultimately, he solidified his position as a major player in the illicit trade, sourcing supplies from notorious English gangs, including Mr. Biggs. Mr. Big was allegedly involved in the elimination of real IRA terror boss Alan Ryan in 2012. You can imagine the kind of gangsters he was rubbing shoulders with at that time. Following scrutiny for White House's elimination in 2014, Price orchestrated the killings of Willie Morn and his pregnant partner Anna Verslevane in 2015. This was a shocking event that reverberated in and out of the underworld. Subsequently, the executions of Richard Carberry in 2019 and psychopath assassin Robbie Lawler in 2020 followed in pursuit of the deadly Drogheda feud. Lawler's demise, months after his involvement in the elimination of teenager Keen Mulready Woods, reportedly occurred at Price's behest. The tragic elimination of Mulready Woods stemmed from a false belief that he supported Carberry's assailants. We will delve into these eliminations in detail later in this video. It's notable that Lawler and Price were implicated in serious crimes, reflecting a pattern of behaviour linked to their alleged activities. Not only that Price was a friend of White House, but he also knew his family, and yet this relationship did not deter him from arranging White House's elimination. Lawler was even a step ahead in manifesting such psychopath behaviour. His brutal assassinations showed that he enjoyed the pain of his victims. The series of events surrounding Cornelius Price offers a harrowing glimpse into the intricacies of organised crime within Ireland's underworld. Such incidents, driven by a complex web of alliances, vendettas and power struggles, underscores the dark reality of this shadowy world. Price's trajectory, from his emergence on the police radar to his involvement in a network of English gangs, exemplifies the transnational nature of criminal enterprises. These alliances provide access to resources, but they also expose individuals to heightened risks, as evidenced by Price's entanglement in a cycle of violence and retribution. The orchestrated eliminations linked to Price, marked by their brutality and their reverberations throughout the criminal underworld, demonstrate the ruthlessness and calculated nature of his operations. Each elimination serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of involvement in organised crime. From the shocking killings of Willie Morn and Anna Verslevane to the targeted assassinations of Richard Carberry and Robbie Lawler, these events underscore the tragic consequences of a world driven by power, greed and vengeance. Moreover, the tragic demise of teenager Keen Mulready Woods highlights the collateral damage inflicted by feuds fueled by false beliefs and vendettas. The cycle of violence perpetuated by individuals like Price reveals the deep-rooted challenges faced by law enforcement in combating organised crime. It underscores the need for comprehensive strategies that address not only the symptoms, but also the underlying causes driving such behaviour. Did Cornelius Price's run-ins shape his criminal path? Cornelius Price, a native of Gormanston, County Meath, and a father of two, was known for his violent behaviour, which extended even to confrontations with Gardai. In January 2014, he deliberately drove his van at high speed towards a uniformed officer. 3 years later, he was convicted of endangering a Garda at a Garda station. The court heard that Price had a history of 18 previous convictions, including careless driving, public order offences and assaults. He received a 3-year sentence in 2017, but his criminal activities persisted even behind bars. During his time at Wheatfield Prison, Price allegedly attempted to smuggle the dangerous psychoactive substance spice into the facility. The scheme was foiled when officers observed a drone hovering outside the prison walls, revealing the smuggling attempt. In 2018, Price was the victim of a violent attack which left him with severe injuries. Sources within the prison suspected it was a retaliatory strike following a dispute with an associate of imprisoned assassin Warren Dumbrell. Additionally, there were reports of Alex willing to go to great lengths to obtain narcotics from Price's gang, leading him to believe he held sway within the prison. However, his isolation grew as former allies formed new alliances with rival gangs. Consequently, he was placed on a 23-hour lockdown to safeguard him from other inmates. Released from prison in 2019, Price's return to freedom was met with vigilance from law enforcement. The Gardai conducted various searches in Drogheda, for arms and weapons amid fears that he would immediately indulge in the raging gang feud of which he was a key player. Price subsequently filed a lawsuit against the state, alleging his prolonged detention in Wheatfield prison. However, the Court of Appeal ultimately rejected his claim. 2 days after his release from prison, he took his family and fled to the UK on a ferry. He spent some time in Bulgaria as well, before returning to Ireland after a month. He kept staying in different locations amid warnings from cops that his life was in danger before moving to the UK again. How brutal was Cornelius Price? What were the harrowing eliminations associated with Cornelius Price? Price was linked to the elimination of Benny Whitehouse. Whitehouse was attacked right after dropping his daughters at school. Price and Whitehouse were friends turned foes, and if you're following us for some time now, you would know that this is another permanent feature of the Underworld. It doesn't take long for brother-like friends to turn into fatal enemies. Price and Whitehouse had engaged in a violent feud over the supply of narcotics in Louth and North County Dublin. In 2013, Price was attacked by Whitehouse and another man. This was followed by elimination of Whitehouse while his partner was hit in the leg. Later, Price's gang was involved in the elimination of a couple, Willie Morn and his partner Anna Varslavane, in 2015. The couple had vanished and their bodies couldn't be located to date despite the extensive Gardai searches. They were last seen in Price's fortified compound. The couple was living there but had been planning to move to Tala, where the Morns lived. This was a sign that they wanted out from this crime world. They were about to meet Willie's mother when they disappeared. Up till now, no concrete information about their whereabouts have been found. The Gardai investigation for this disappearance is still open. On learning about Price's death, the father of Willie Morn said, "This man was a monster who killed my boy and his girlfriend. He ruled through fear and had evil pumping through his veins. There are people who were terrified of him because they knew what he was capable of, and we can only pray now that someone will have the courage to tell us where William and Anna are buried." The police believe that Price feared the couple had information about the elimination of Benny Whitehouse. That's why he ordered their execution. But he wasn't in the frame for both eliminations. Then came an elimination that turned the gangland upside down. The feud gained renewed momentum following the brutal assassination of teenager Keen Mulready Woods, prompting questions about the unfortunate teen's involvement in the underworld. Despite his young age, Mulready Woods had already garnered attention from both law enforcement and criminal circles. His past actions, including threats to burn down a family's house and defrauding an innocent woman, showcased a propensity for criminal behaviour that didn't escape judicial notice. Moreover, Mulready Woods' alleged double dealings in the feud further fueled tensions, particularly with the faction led by Robbie Lawler. Another incident involving Lawler's assault shortly after his release from jail, where his sports bag and distinctive black and white flip-flops were stolen, escalated hostilities. Shockingly, these same flip-flops were later discovered with Mulready Woods' remains, underscoring the viciousness of the conflict. In retaliation for Mulready Woods' elimination, Price enlisted additional muscle from the UK. However, the threat to his life prompted him to flee Ireland amidst fear of reprisals. Yet, this didn't deter him from ordering the hit on Lawler, the alleged mastermind behind Mulready Woods' demise. Price returned to Ireland, but before that he shared a provocative viral video on YouTube where he toasted Lawler's passing. In the short video, Price was seen saying, "Cheers to Robbie Lawler, rest in peace. He's not even meant to rest in peace, but fair play to you. There you go, boy." What sparked the Drogheda feud? After feuding with Whitehouse, Price's gang embroiled in another lethal feud with another gang that the media labelled as Anti-Maguire Gang due to legal reasons. It included the psychopath gangster Robbie Lawler amongst others. This lengthy feud became known as the Drogheda Feud. It involved over 200 people and included assaults, kidnappings, explosions, burning houses and eliminations. To address this escalating threat to public safety, the Gardai launched Operation Stratus, a concerted effort aimed at dismantling the gangs involved. Over 150 suspects were pursued, leading to significant breakthroughs in law enforcement efforts. The operation resulted in the seizure of various weapons, including firearms, pipe explosives, narcotics, and a substantial sum of over €230,000 in cash. Furthermore, Operation Stratus resulted in the apprehension and incarceration of numerous dangerous criminals, among them Paul Crosby. The arrest of Paul Crosby serves as a compelling narrative, offering insight into the complex dynamics of criminal life. Raised in Drogheda, Crosby was drawn into a life of crime during his formative years. Initially aligned with the Maguire faction, Crosby's resentment grew as he felt relegated to a subordinate role within the organisation. Tensions between Crosby and Maguire reached a boiling point, leading to a bitter rift and ultimately sparking the deadly Drogheda feud. In 2018 there was an attempt on Maguire's life, leaving him paralysed in a wheelchair. Crosby was one of the main protagonists in the feud's height. He mocked Maguire after the elimination attempt. On one occasion, Crosby recorded a phone conversation with Maguire jeering, mocking and antagonising him, calling him a cripple and telling him, "You can't walk, bro." As Paul Crosby belonged to the Robbie Lawler side of the feud, he facilitated an elimination which surged the war into new heights. He was on the hit list of Price Maguire Group for luring Mulready Woods to a house where he was eliminated. The details of this elimination would shock you to the core, but YouTube doesn't allow us to disclose this kind of information. Nevertheless, after facilitating one of the most gruesome eliminations of Ireland, Crosby faced an attempt on his life, and he came running to the nearby Gardai station to seek protection. Notably, when things turned nasty, he came running back to the very people he hated for protection. Imagine that after all the trouble he gave the police, he went to them when he needed help. He was sentenced to 10 years for his role in the elimination of Mulready Woods. What do you think of Crosby's actions? Let us know in the comments. Coming back to Cornelius Price, he was suspected of being involved in another feud elimination, this time of Lawler's associate Keith Brannigan in 2019. This happened a few months after Price's release from prison. As for Robbie Lawler's elimination, Cornelius Price paid a hitman over €100,000 to take him out. And that's not it. He lured Lawler to his demise by hiring him for a fake hit. He used his contacts in Mountjoy prison to use a rival crime group who hired Lawler to conduct a hit in Belfast. It was a setup. When Lawler came to execute someone, as a stroke of irony, an assassin was awaiting for him for the same purpose, as the intended target hid in safety. According to Gardai sources, the elaborate hoax took weeks to orchestrate. Notably, Lawler was furious with Price for orchestrating the assassination of his brother-in-law, Richie Carberry. He suspected teenager Mulready Woods' involvement in it. The teenager's demise was widely regarded as one of the most appalling assassinations in Ireland's history. Price believed that Lawler had crossed a line here. Despite relocating his family to Rochdale in the UK, Price was determined to seek revenge for the teenager's death, regardless of the cost, and the lengths he went to accomplish that are indicative of that. While Price had committed numerous vile acts, he was shocked at the brutality of the minor's elimination. Moreover, he recognised the necessity of neutralising Lawler before he or his family became targets. After neutralising the threat and avenging Woods' death, Price celebrated by posting a video of himself drinking Captain Morgan's rum as a response to Robbie's demise. Price's gang also targeted other members of the Lawler mob. These retaliatory strikes placed Price in imminent danger, with reports suggesting a €100,000 bounty placed on his head by the rival gang. Isn't this like a scene straight from a Netflix Narcos movie? According to Gardai, Price did the world a big favour by getting rid of Lawler, who was a madman and executed people for fun. Nevertheless, this act couldn't vindicate him for the vile acts he had committed. At the time of his release, the father of Willie, Price's victim, called for the thug to be banned from Drogheda and Balbriggan. I think if the Gardai have evidence of him associating with known criminals involved in organised crime, he should be arrested. These are people who have been banned from towns because of antisocial behaviour, so why can't Price be banned if his presence will lead to further outbreaks of violence in which innocent people could be killed? His release put the Gardai on high alert. As part of Operation Stratus, officers from the Armed Support Unit and local detectives increased patrols to curtail potential strikes by the feuding mobs. It seems that wherever Price went at that time, be it in prison or out, chaos followed. His time in prison wasn't free of violent incidents either, as he was the recipient of a brutal attack himself. Drogheda Gardai Chief Superintendent Christy Mangan commented on the feud. The feud in Drogheda, like all other feuds, is about turf and money, and that is fueled by the demand for cocaine, which knows no social divide. This is a national problem, and if we don't act as a group with health practitioners and reduce demand, we will lose a generation of young people. Following his release from prison, Price relocated to the UK due to threats on his life and increasing pressure from law enforcement. His compound had become a frequent target of searches by not only Operation Stratus, but also the Gardai's national units and the Crime Assets Bureau. This relentless scrutiny extended to his relatives and associates, resulting in convictions and imprisonment. Amongst those ensnared was Stephen Gibbons, close associate of Price and the husband of his aunt, who served as Price's trusted aide and confidant. Gibbons used to do minor tasks for the gang. He was previously arrested for the double Morn-Varslavane elimination. This time he was arrested after getting caught with a weapon. Notably, Gibbons is also reported to have been beaten up by Price many times before getting locked up in his shed. Nevertheless, when Price was in the UK, he continued his illicit activities. He participated in a blackmail plot of kidnapping two brothers with a demand of £300,000 ransom under threat of their lives. The brothers endured harrowing conditions until their eventual rescue by armed police. Price's demise, an enigmatic end to an enigmatic start. In 2021, his life took a dramatic turn when he was diagnosed with limbic encephalitis, a debilitating brain condition that left him in a coma with slim chances of recovery. Price was hospitalised in the UK while facing kidnapping charges in Ireland. Hindered by his deteriorating health and electronic tag restrictions, Price's trial was indefinitely adjourned. As his condition worsened, his associates flooded on social media, showing the loyalty and camaraderie prevalent in criminal circles. Ultimately, Price's demise came not at the hands of his adversaries or the law, but rather from an unexpected adversary: cancer. In his passing, one of Ireland's most feared gangsters met a fate perhaps unforeseen by both authorities and his rivals alike. Price died in a Welsh hospital on February the 19th, 2023. It was an unusual gangland death, especially for someone like him. Not many violent gangsters evade the law due to some disease. Just when his past life was catching up to him, he was out of the game. That's how he evaded the eager chases of Gardai and the UK law enforcement. However, his condition was a reason for celebrations for his rivals. They gloated over his final moments by posting a video of him lying in a hospital bed on a ventilator with the caption, "Bye bye Naily boy, you mongo." Mocking his death while using a video posted from his deathbed by a Christian preacher seems cruel, but that's a normal part of the callous world of gangland. After his death, Price's family and friends ran a sustained campaign to whitewash his criminal career. They posted tributes and shared his last moments, especially his last-minute conversion at the hands of a Christian preacher. Like his tumultuous life, Price's funeral stirred significant attention both within the underworld and legal circles. Authorities in Drogheda remained on high alert amid speculations that the funeral would be held in Balbriggan, his longtime residence, before acquiring his compound in Gormanston. The authorities closely monitored the arrangements, anticipating the need for extensive policing measures to thwart potential revenge attacks or violence from Price's numerous enemies, including associates of his rival Robbie Lawler. Ultimately, a private funeral service was conducted in the Greater Manchester area, drawing scores of attendees, including extended family members and friends who made the journey, some even travelling by ferry. Despite his daughter's plea for privacy, several videos capturing the ostentatious funeral rituals surfaced online. Nonetheless, the funeral garnered significant media attention due to its extravagant displays and lavish tributes to the notorious gangster. The scene unfolded in grandeur as three top-of-the-line Lamborghinis led the funeral procession for the notorious mobster. Following closely were family and friends bearing Price's wooden coffin, while floral tributes adorned his grave, with some dubbing him a legend and king. Two floral tributes included a golden weapon and black weapon with silver bullets. A massive replica of Captain Morgan's rum bottle was also placed on his grave, with photo montages of the thug. Price's supporters posted on social media after the service. The posts included, "He really did have the best send-off." Another one stated, "You've done him very proud." Another social media post included a photo of 3 bottles of Stella Artois beer and 2 cans of Captain Morgan and Coke mixture on the poster's lap after the service with the caption, "Legend of a man, RIP Cornelius Price, yup yup." Later, around 20 supporters gathered near the crime boss's compound and placed a large banner with the words, "Back to home turf" painted onto it. The laneway to the compound was decorated with floral bouquets and balloons accompanied by bottles of champagne. Streams of tricolour flags adorned the bushes bearing tributes to the gang boss, ranging from "Rest in Peace" to "See you in the next life" and "Captain Morgan." Meanwhile, music resonated from a large speaker. Several supporters paid homage to the feared mobster by indulging in shots of Captain Morgan's rum. This apparently was a nod to Price drinking the same rum in a widely circulated video celebrating the demise of his sworn enemy Robbie Lawler. However, not everyone shared these sentiments. As soon as news of his death broke, videos of people toasting and celebrating the gangster's demise emerged online. Willie Maughan's father, Joe, said, "I wish death on nobody, but if there is one person in the world that deserves to die, it's him. I hope he burns now in hell. He done evil things. Evil has to be dealt with. You don't get away with evil. I think he got the justice that he deserves. It wasn't God that took him, it was the devil that took him. He'll be dancing on the devil's fire for the rest of his life, and that's the truth." If you didn't know Price's story, you would wonder why anyone would wish such things for someone, but after knowing what he did, you cannot blame the unfortunate father. Former Gardai Assistant Commissioner Michael O'Sullivan, who led the operation to bring Price down, called him, without doubt, one of the most evil people he had come across. He just shows no mercy to anybody. He just thrived on conflict and violence, intimidation, torture, burning houses, dare I say killing people. He was certainly involved in several murders. He just had to cause confrontation. He just had to be vicious and violent. He was a one-man serious crime wave, said the Garda Commissioner. Where does the Drogheda feud stand today? Is the Drogheda feud still raging? How are Owen Maguire and other players faring after the major deaths and incarcerations? As for Owen Maguire, Price's demise dealt a severe blow to him. He was already grappling with significant challenges. Prior to Price's death, Maguire had lost his assets to the Criminal Assets Bureau, leaving him in a precarious position. Subsequently, he retreated into seclusion, plagued by paranoia and confined within the walls of his home. As the primary force on his side, Price's passing left Maguire profoundly weakened and highly exposed. Maguire narrowly escaped death in 2018 when Robbie Lawler, disgruntled member of his gang, made an attempt on his life. He struck him 6 times, leaving him paralysed. Despite this harrowing ordeal, Maguire managed to survive. In 2023, the Criminal Assets Bureau dealt another blow to Maguire by confiscating his and his brother's assets, including 2 properties, €304,000 in cash, 2 vehicles and a Rolex watch. The High Court ruled that these assets were acquired through criminal means and thus subject to seizure. Justice Alexander Owens, presiding over the case, remarked, "The evidence presented regarding financial affairs dating back to the early 2000s indicates minimal legitimate income. While some may have originated from Owens' scrap metal business, a substantial portion is linked to his criminal activities as supported by financial records." Following this legal setback, Maguire has maintained a low profile, choosing to stay out of the public eye. As for the anti-Maguire group, as the media calls it because many of their members couldn't be named due to legal reasons, 2 siblings have been leading the faction. However, recently it emerged that the siblings duo had split up, with one living in Dubai and the other in Thailand. While both are suspected of supplying the narcotics in Drogheda from these hideaways, both brothers are in their 20s and facing serious charges. They have arrest warrants out for them in Ireland and were due to appear in trial. However, they did a runner and fled the country, citing risks to their life in retaliation for the gruesome elimination of teen Keen Mulready Woods. While the brothers are said to be split up, there doesn't seem to be a falling out. They just appear to be trying to make a go of it separately. Nevertheless, it was considered good news by the now low-key thug Maguire, who recently emerged in the media smiling on this development. Previously, there were indications that the siblings had relocated to Dubai under the protection of the Kinahan cartel. According to reports from sources like Dublin Live, it's speculated that the siblings have distant familial ties to the Kinahans. However, regardless of their activities overseas, returning home poses a grave risk, as they could either face elimination or be subject to imminent danger. Now, with several key figures either removed from the equation, deceased or imprisoned, and the anti-Maguire faction disbanded, the question arises: can the residents of Drogheda finally breathe a sigh of relief, or will the spectre of the feud resurface in the near future? With Lawler and Price out of the picture, Maguire maintaining a low profile, and the elusive sibling duo evading capture, the situation remains uncertain. What are your thoughts on the potential outcomes?